Alright, what's up guys? Paul here. Gonna be a quick video on Andrew Tate, the top G with his Bugatti. Alright, he's under house arrest in Romania. And this video here with Valuetainment was done under house arrest. And he's given it the big one the whole time. Days later, turned out he was indicted on human trafficking charges, suspicion of human trafficking. He came out with a video then of how it's just further attempts by the Matrix to control him. Don't believe a word of that. Don't stop believing this Matrix nonsense. There ain't no Matrix. All this stuff he talked in this video was complete. It was just a shambles. It was nonsense. And shame on these Valuetainment lads for just kowtowing to him and just bootlicking him the whole way, because they know the clout and the numbers that he will generate for their channel. So yeah, we're going to get into this part of the video of Tate's podcast interview with Valuetainment, where he made a completely just ridiculous, stupidest thing I've ever heard claim about the origins of COVID-19. Without further ado, roll the clip, Jamie.
It's going to revolt to a degree, but does it even really matter at some point? You get to a point of power where you don't care about money. And then things are really difficult, right? When you control everything, you don't care about money. I mean, I'd like to actually argue. We talk about Bud Light, this Mulaney, whatever is it?
Dylan Mulvaney.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dylan Mulvaney.
Sweetheart, yeah.
And yeah, I know we've damaged their share price, et cetera, et cetera. I would believe people who own that company or beyond that company, I don't think they truly give a fuck.
InBev.
I don't think they care. Maybe they care a bit. I don't think they're losing that much sleep over it. Maybe they are, a little bit. But I'm saying you get to degrees of power and levels of power where you don't care about money. I'll give you a perfect example of it. I know we keep going back to this, but it was actually a massive pivotal event in awakening so many people was the COVID scam. I said this multiple times in many different countries I visited. I said, if they cared about you, they would have left everything open, maybe put a tax on everything, extra tax percent, whatever, and built hospitals. Why didn't they do that? Why did they lock you all up? Because it's a mass compliance.
Okay, if they really cared about you, they would have kept everything open, put a tax on everything, and built hospitals. They actually did build hospitals in China. There were loads of field hospitals in many cities in China. In other cities of the world where there's less available space, we're just going to build a hospital. Do you know how long it takes to build a real hospital? The hospitals they put up in China were like makeshift. The idea that you could build true, legit hospitals in that space of time is ridiculous. So if they cared about you, right? So it's coming in with this notion again that they didn't really care about you, these sneaky elites. It was all just a mass compliance exercise. He truly, truly believes that. By the way, COVID's over. We're all just chilling now. Chilling. I flew from Thailand to Ireland to Colombia to Mexico without a single question asked. No question of vaccine, passport, or any questions asked in that regard. So it's all over now. So the fact that Tate and these guys are still clinging on to the COVID conspiracy so ham-fistedly, it's so tenuous, like it's over, we've all moved on from it, but they keep harping back to it. It was a 2.5-year pandemic where, you know, the lesser of two evils was decided upon to go with lockdowns. It wasn't a choice made with any pleasure, which is what he's insinuating here, or he's explicitly saying. It was the lesser of two evils. To have left everything open would have been irresponsible. On the whole, when you take the whole balance now, we're almost a year removed from the whole pandemic, just rationally understandable why the lockdowns were done.
This is a mass compliance exercise. They want you to comply. They don't give a shit about your health. They just want you to comply, and they want to test how many people comply. And people were saying, yeah, it's all about money, it's all about profit. And I said, that's actually a very optimistic way to look at it. I think that if you destroy the economy and lock everyone in their houses and destroy everyone's businesses, you don't care about money. You're beyond money. You're above money. You want power and you want control. Because once you become actually rich, you learn that the world is all just about people. Right? The best things in your life are people. The best things in your life are family. The things that make you happiest are your friends. Your life experience is the best if you have a good team around you, good assistants, good helpers, good staff, whatever it is. It's all about people and controlling people. What do you want money for? To get other people to do what you want. That's all money is. I want a Lamborghini. I can't build one. He can. I will pay him to build me a Lamborghini. It's all about people. So once you get beyond a certain level of money, and there's a certain level of control you want that money perhaps can't buy, then you think, well, I don't care about the money, I want the power. I don't want money, I want them to stay in their houses. Why? Because it says so. I don't have to, they have to. Ha ha ha. It's funny. And I've said that and sat with people and said, do you really think people in charge of the world are so petty that they would lock everyone in their houses so they can laugh? I say, yeah, I actually do. I think if you were born into a wealthy family where money has precisely zero value, and you are arrogant to the moon because you're this whoever, and you believe you're God's gift, and you don't, a Ferrari ain't gonna make you happy. Who cares about Ferrari? Ferrari's free, it's pennies. You don't care about any of this shit. What makes you happy is everyone respecting you and being afraid of you. To a degree, you're gonna try and influence some power and fear. I think that's what it is. So I think a lot of these companies, when they're doing these things and they're upsetting people, etc., yeah, it's good that we're fighting back, but I also think part of them enjoy the show. I think part of them genuinely enjoy the show.
These guys, just Patrick Bet David and his sidekick here, just sitting there in awe, just bootlicking and clout chasing with Tate, knowing the numbers they're going to do in this interview, not pushing back at all on any of this. It's just complete nonsense. I think part of them enjoy the show. I thought he just said the whole thing was a concoction. The whole thing was designed to laugh at the plebeians, to sit up in their ivory towers and say, oh, and eat their cake and drink their champagne and have orgies and say, look at them all locked up in their houses. He said that was the actual whole thing. Now he's just said, I think part of them actually enjoy the show. So he's completely contradicted. He's reined it. He's pulled it back a bit from saying that's exactly what it was, a complete hoax, to saying part of them enjoy the show. Yeah. Notice those little things with Tate that he'll make subtle changes when he realizes he's gone too far sometimes, and he'll pull it back a little bit. So that was interesting. But let's not go off in too many different tangents, breaking down the mistakes in his actual argument. Let's look at Tate's actual claim here in macro terms. So Andrew Tate, the top G, considered by many young men these days as one of the greatest minds of his generation, is sitting there genuinely claiming that COVID-19 was all just an invention by wealthy and opulent world leaders just to make fun of the denizens and the citizens that they control, to demonstrate that they are their overlords, that they could just sit and laugh at them for a couple of years. To what end? I mean, what basis would that have? What logic would that have for them to actually do that? And by the way, them, this thing of them, let me just get to that. They, them, who are they? Where are they? Remember there was that nice pop song by Jem, which was about that concept, about they. The way people go on about they, name names. Who are the people you're referring to? Are you referring to the presidential leaders of each country? Such as, well, Trump was president of the States at the time of COVID. Now it's Joe Biden. We talk about Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of UK at the time. Xi Jinping, Prime Minister of China. Is that what he's claiming? Because it's so vague. That's what he gets away with, such vagaries. He can't actually explain it in any real detail as to how this could have come about, like the choreography and the coordination of it. That they all called each other up on some Zoom calls and came up with this idea of the world presidents. Or is he going higher than that? Is he kind of going for the whole David Icke reptilian overlord type of argument, that even the presidents are controlled by higher up theys, like the Klaus Schwartz of this world, who run the World Economic Forum and the WHO? These type of people, is that what he's trying to say? Because I need details. If you're going to make this outlandish, onerous claim, you've got to have more details. You cannot just sit there and just say it was all a hoax with no proof, with zero evidence, to sit there and make that batshit claim. I'm sorry, Tate, and all you Tate acolytes out there. I got something to tell you. Politicians are just, for the most part, extremely normal people. All right. He asked a question during this. When's the last time you saw a politician? I was in Dubai one day and I saw the leader of Dubai walking in the mall. When's the last time you saw a European Western politician in the mall? All the time they go to the mall. And when's the last time you saw a politician? Today, talking to my dad. My dad was a politician for many years in Ireland, in the Irish Senate, and with a bit of luck, in another way, he could have feasibly become Taoiseach, the leader of Ireland. That could have materialised to him. So my dad could have been the leader of Ireland, hypothetically, quite hypothetically. He's just a normal golf-playing, Guinness-drinking man from Tipperary, all right? And that's the case for most Irish politicians. Are extremely humble, working-class people from working-class farming backgrounds, all right? Other countries, yeah, there can be a bit more of a, like in the UK, most of the leaders tend to come from Eton stock and they come from the public school, rich families. Go to the States, a lot of the families were working class, the Kennedys, the Lincolns. Joe Biden came up pretty humbly. Trump, of course, who Tate is a fan of course came from money, from his great-grandfather who emigrated to the States, and he inherited all that money. But anyway, for the most part, politicians are not actually that rich. They earn a quite high salary, but then they work, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for that, and it's a short career for the most part. Once they get into high office, they only serve for X number of years. So if you really break it all down, they're really actually not that exorbitantly wealthy. Most presidents ain't personally driving Ferraris, actually. Definitely the Prime Minister of Ireland is not driving an expensive luxury car, I can tell you that. And so, yeah, just let me stay on track of the actual argument. Like, again, to what end would that have been something worth pursuing for world leaders? And it's hard for me to really say this because it's just so stupid. It's like something a kid would come up with in a dystopian novel, or you could have a really nice dystopian novel actually, like something like The Hunger Games. But it's not grounded in reality. This is not the way the world actually works. This matrix conspiracy talk that everyone's out to get you, like the world leaders are out to get you, they're out to control you. If you want to talk about real control of citizens, and if he's trying to claim there's a tendency to more and more control, that this was a test and there'll be another one of these, well, no. It was just because there was a viral disease pandemic, the precedents of which there are a plethora. The Black Death, the Hong Kong flu, the Spanish flu, the Manchurian flu. Throughout China, they've had tons of these because of their huge population. And lockdowns have always been the public government policy, the lesser of two evils. Alright, so let's just play the last part. Roll out Tate here, finishing up his conspiracy theory about COVID.
I know it's a pessimistic way to look at it, but I think they enjoyed the show apart.
I don't disagree with you in regards to that. I can see that how, you see it in movies or scenes where, condescending, arrogant, and they kind of they enjoy bullying the guy that can't help himself, right? Hey, do this. Hey, clean up, pick this up. Look at this. He'll do anything that I need him to do, right? I fully believe that those types of things exist. But, man, empires have fallen so many times.
This guy, Bet David, just said, right, let me just go back on what he just said. He just said, I don't disagree with you because you see that in movies. In movies, unless they say at the start, based on a true story, are fiction. All right, they are fiction. Movies like Armageddon, for example, when they went up to, which planet did they go to? Mars, was it? To try to save the world. That didn't actually happen. Other movies are loosely based on a true story. Other movies are complete fabrications, like Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise. Didn't actually happen. It's a fictitious fantasy world movie. So other movies he's talking about, in army, military movies, some of them are based on true stories. Yeah, in the military, he's saying, hey, you, pick up that, do that. Giving out orders. You see that in military movies because that does happen in the military. Like in Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, the abuse that goes on and went on in those movies. But that was army to soldier. That was a built-in alpha bullying culture. That has nothing to do with elites developing a viral disease, which was just a common cold, which Tate started this off with, by the way, saying that They convinced people to stay home because of the common cold. I hope I have that in at the start of the video. So he really is saying that COVID was just a cold. My friend died of COVID. A young man with no, we won't get into that. All right, let's leave that there. And that the elites invented it all. And Patrick Bet-David came in and interjected and tried to contribute by saying, I can see how we see that in movies where there can be a bullying culture of some guys saying, hey, pick this up, and they enjoy bullying. It has nothing to do with anything. I mean, it was all just made up by the government elites just to lock everyone at home and laugh at them. He actually thinks that that's a realistic plausibility. If any of you actually think that, I'm sorry for you. I'm very sorry. You need to read up a bit of history, and you need to stop listening to these snake oil salesmen, alpha male gurus who are just profiting off you. That's what they're doing, profiting off young men, spouting all this nonsense, yeah? Didn't Boris Johnson get it? Trump, I believe, got COVID at one stage. Nearly everyone got it because it was a real disease, and that's just the way it went down. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think of the video in the comments. Cheers.